Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As the years went on, the dominion of the Hanafi madhab spread across the Islamic world. Because from the earliest time, the Hanafi madhab was producing countless ulama, and they would travel far and wide, often settling in remote areas in order to make the deen reach every single person. By this time, the madhahib of the four Imams were created and established, and the ahadith had been collected and compiled by the muhaddithin. So a new era of studies dawned upon the ummah. Because now people no longer needed to spend their lives traveling the world, collecting and compiling knowledge, as that groundwork had already been done by the previous generations of ulama, so there was no need to reinvent the wheel. It was now the early 400s after Hijrah, and the Hanafi madhab was widespread and firmly entrenched, with the ulama producing great kitabs expounding upon the Sharia. It was into this world that the son of the ulama was born. His name was Imam Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Abi Sahal, but we know him better as Shamsul A'imma, Imam As-Sarakhsi, Rahimahullaah. In the northeasternmost part of Iran today, on the border of Iran and Turkmenistan, is a province known as Razavi Khurasan. In that province is a city called Sarakhs, and it was in this city that Imam As-Sarakhsi, Rahimahullah, was born. The exact date of his birth is not known, but it was in the early 400s after Hijrah, and we know this because of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah's main teacher. The main teacher of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah was another great Imam. He was Imam Al-Halwani Rahimahullah, and he passed away in the year 449 after Hijrah. So for Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah to have been born, to study and eventually qualify under Imam Al-Halwani Rahimahullah, he would probably have had to have been born roughly around the year 420 after Hijrah. Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah is a special Imam, not only for the Hanafi madhab, but for the entire Muslim world for that matter. The knowledge that Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah had obtained earned him the title of Shamsul A'immah, the son of the Imams. In other words, his knowledge was so great that in the presence of other ulama, he was like the sun lighting up the world. Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah belonged to the second tier fuqaha, as he was a mujtahid within the Hanafi madhab, not quite a mujtahid mutlaq like Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullah. But despite that, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah was such a remarkable Imam that by the time he had completed his studies under Imam Al-Halwani Rahimahullah, he was already regarded as being unique in his knowledge amongst the ulama of his time. Besides being extremely knowledgeable, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah was unwavering in his declaring of the truth, regardless of the consequences. So it happened that after leaving Sarakhs, Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah traveled to a town called Uzgen, which is located in present-day Kyrgyzstan. And while here, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah had somewhat of a run-in with the Turkic ruler, the Khan. Khan is a Turkic title that means the Khan of Khans, the supreme Khan in other words. This Khan had married a woman before her iddah had completed, so Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah gave a fatwa saying that his marriage was invalid. This greatly angered the ruler, and he immediately had Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah arrested, and he imprisoned Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah in a well for the next 15 years. It was in this well that Allah brought forth a miracle upon the hands, or at least upon the tongue of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah. Because it was while being imprisoned in this well that Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah dictated his famous kitab Al-Mabsut, which is to date the largest book of Hanafi Fiqh, despite almost 1,000 years passing since then. Al-Mabsut of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah used to be 15 huge volumes, which in recent years has been published in regular sized books, making it a total of 30 volumes. The miracle in this is that this kitab was dictated without a pen or paper passing the hands of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah, and without him having a single kitab to refer back to, nor a single contemporary Imam to discuss matters with. But Allah had so accepted Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah that he was able to transmit from his heart the largest book of fiqh in Hanafi history without a single mistake, and this book became a central pillar for the Hanafi madhab for generations to come. So deep was the understanding of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah, and so accepted was his fatwa, that it became commonplace to hear the saying that when you are unsure of the ruling on something, then follow Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah. After having completely dictated this massive kitab while being imprisoned in a well, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah began another major kitab of his. This kitab was an explanation of As-Siyar al-Kabir of Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani Rahimahullah. Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah was still busy dictating this kitab, and he had just reached the chapter regarding writing down the duration of treaties, which is about 65% complete of the kitab, when his 15 years were up and he was eventually freed from that long imprisonment in the year 480 after Hijrah. After being freed, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah dictated the remainder of the kitab, which is presently published in 5 volumes amounting to well over 2,000 pages. Besides being a faqih of this caliber, Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah also played a very big role in the science of Usool al-Fiqh, because there was another kitab he had dictated during his imprisonment, and this is known as Kitabul Usool. It is one of the biggest and most comprehensive and relied upon books of Usool in the Hanafi madhab even after all these years. Towards the end of the life of Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah, he had traveled to the city known as Farghana in Uzbekistan, and it is here that Imam As-Sarakhsi Rahimahullah passed away. The exact date of Imam Sarakhsi's passing is differed about, with some ulama saying that he passed away only 3 years after being released from prison in the year 483 after Hijrah, while some have gone as far as to say that he passed away in the year 503 after Hijrah. Whatever the exact date was, the life and works of Imam Sarakhsi Rahimahullah are a miracle from Allah, because no one before him, nor anyone after him, has produced such a feat, let alone produce kitabs that became pillars for the functioning of the Islamic State itself, such as his Sharh Siyar al-Kabir, or for the preservation of the laws of the deen itself, like his Al-Mabsut, or for the codification of the Hanafi madhab, like his Usool. May Allah grant him the highest levels of Jannatul Firdaus and make us followers in his footsteps, in always proclaiming the truth and never watering it down to curry favor with anyone. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen, wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.